Live league action. In 2018, the Auckland Rugby League is putting the game in your hands. Never miss a hit from New Zealand's premier rugby league competition. To get the inside edge on where you can watch the action live and free, head up aucklandleague.co.nz. Live league action, aucklandleague.co.nz.
Oh my
Some
dear.
of the hits in this one. Here.
Love the college rugby league.
Williams again leading the way. Murray getting involved as well. They come back towards the middle of the park. And oh, guess what? Another big hit. Knock on, so what a hit there. Here.
Love the college rugby league.
Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome into today's SAS Fox Memorial Premiership live stream. We are live at Murray Halberg Park, starting with our curtain raiser today. We've got Northcote taking on Otahuhu before the big game between the Marist Saints and the Richmond Bulldogs. We've also been streaming a little bit of college rugby league action, which you would have seen in the build-up there. Also bringing you some updates from that competition throughout the broadcast today. We're now going to take a very short break before we welcome in Otahuhu coach John Ackland.
Head's still bleeding.
Well, welcome in, John. First of all, pretty nice day for footy down here today. Certainly nicer than some of the weather we have endured in the last few weeks. Now, a week off for most last week for the rep round, but about half your team probably involved in rep clashes for the various teams. How's everyone pulled up?
We've had a good couple of weeks of training. We've, as you say, it's a lovely day, and the field's hard, and hopefully there'll be some good football here.
In terms of injuries, I know a number of your boys kind of taking the field for the Tongan side as well as the Auckland Māori and Samoan sides. Has everyone pulled up all right injury-wise?
Tane got cramp apparently last week, so that's bad news. But he's pulled through this week.
The attack, we live streamed you in your last game against Papakura. The attack seemed to click fairly nicely. You scored some really nice tries, long range, and some nice set pieces as well. How do you assess that area of your game so far this year?
Look, I think it's a good way to play. I think it's a fun way to play, and I think it's an entertaining way to play. And, we're starting to pass the ball a little bit better.
A real feature of your season so far, you've done well against the teams around you on the ladder. How important are these games? Obviously, Northcote just one spot ahead of you right now. How important is this game?
Well, we've spoken through the week. It's probably the most important game we've played to date this year in terms of the points table. I think if Northcote beat us, they jump a couple of wins clear, and if we beat them, I think we're even, and we're just on the cusp of the top four. So, for both clubs, I guess it's a big game.
Northcote have been on the up, particularly in the last few weeks, put together a few good performances. Where do you look to attack them today, and where do you think you can maybe find some success?
Well, I think our forwards are good. I think our forward, Connor and Richie, and it was good to see Fred back last week. He added a lot to us, and our forwards have done a good job there. And Ben Benedict Wharton has been fantastic, and it's Wharton, not Farton, by the way, Corey.
There we go.
Tommy Vafusuanga, he gets better every week. So, big games are generally won on the forwards, and, I think we've got them.
All right, thanks for joining us, John. We're going to let you go and finish warming your team up, and all the best for the game.
Thank you. Not Farton.
welcome in Jeff Morden, coach of the Northcote Tigers. Well, Jeff, a week off, well timed for you guys, I guess. I know you were nursing a few injuries. How's everyone sort of come back refreshed?
Yeah, a few injuries. Yeah, most of them have popped back. We've got 3 or 4 out today just with work situations and everything else with these early games. So it is what it is, mate. You know, we're lucky enough now to have a little bit of depth in the squad, and we're about to see how it goes.
A big out, obviously, Dylan Moses, who was away with work commitments, but you get back a couple of boys in Morgan Timothy Cook and Matt Tafutu as well. We haven't seen much of them this year. How big is their inclusion?
Yeah, Morgs he's been out with a rib problem for quite a few weeks now. He had a run in reserve grade the other week against Richmond, went okay. He's been training well, and so he's back in. Matt, he's been in most of the time, and he's just going from strength to strength.
Okay. You come off a big win before the bye week against Richmond. A nice result, I guess, to take into the break. What's the feeling like in camp?
Yeah, it's just making sure that they're staying focused on what they're doing. You know, get a couple of good wins, you can get away on it pretty quick. So we've spent a lot of time this last 2 weeks just making sure they stay focused on what the big picture is.
We just heard from John Ackland. He said how important this result was in terms of keeping pace with that sort of top group. Similar for yourself, I guess. I know that a loss here, potentially you fall a win or two out of that top group. So how important is today?
Oh, it's extremely important. As I said, the boys have been made aware of it. They're aware of it. The fact that it's the first time in a long time the club's been getting towards the halfway point of the season where we're sitting just outside the top 4. Yeah, it means a lot to us, this one.
Your assessment of this young Otahuhu team, particularly a couple of standouts in the forward pack, I think, that probably based the game around that, but also some real strike out wide. Your assessment?
Yeah, I had a look at the videos the last couple of weeks I've been playing. Yeah, there's some good kids in there. You know, a bit like our team. They're young, very enthusiastic. They go forward in the middle's good, and there's some good strike players, out the back and on their edges. So yeah. The boys are aware they're a good side.
Yeah. What's the key area for your team that gets the job done today, you think?
Forward pack. We've got to muscle up front, make sure we get on top, get our yardage game right, put pressure, make them coming out of their half all day.
All right, we're going to let Jeff get back to warming his team up. Thanks for joining us, Jeff, and all the best.
Cheers.
Welcome back in, ladies and gentlemen. We are live at Murray Halberg Park in central Auckland, about to get underway in the curtain raiser today between the Northcote Tigers and the Otahuhu Leopards before we lead into the main game today, the Marist Saints taking on the Richmond Bulldogs. I'm now going to welcome into the commentary box for the first time today Troy Hardy. Well, Troy, a week away from the Fox. We had our representative round last weekend, but nice to get back to the premiership action and a couple of big games on today.
Yeah, absolutely, mate, and looking forward to the Northcote Otahuhu clash. Great just catching up with the coaches a few moments ago, and I think we're in for a really evenly balanced tussle today. Both sides are young, both sides are full of energy and positivity, so I think we're in for a big game of football.
And this game is 5th place, 6th on the ladder, so a pretty important one in terms of trying to keep pace with that competition top 4. Currently right now, Northcote sitting 2 points off the pace and Otahuhu 4 points off the pace. So particularly big game for the Leopards if they are to remain in that top group. We're going to take a little look at some of the action from what was a fortnight ago now. The last round of the SAS Fox Memorial Premiership, and Northcote had a big one, 52-10 over the Richmond Bulldogs. A real confidence booster for them going into that bye round. Otahuhu also big winners, 38 points to 4 over Papakura. We live streamed that game, and Otahuhu, they really got things clicking. They scored some really nice tries. They're particularly dangerous on the edges, and while their focus really is probably on their forward pack, in particular, you know, their front row, their starting front row is very strong, but out wide, like Setutu and Emiliano Mikali, very strong indeed out on the edges. The Howick Hornets were big winners, 42-4 over the Marist Saints, while Glenora got up 26-6 over the Mangere East Hawks. And the big game, which was played at Mount Smart Stadium, Point Chevalier Pirates 32, Mount Albert Lions 22, getting the result in that one. So now let's take a look at how that affects the SAS Fox Memorial Premiership ladder and get our update on how things are looking as we approach the halfway point of the season. And as you can see at the top, it is the Point Chevalier Pirates, undefeated, 8 from 8. They sit alone on 16 points, followed by the Glenora Bears, who have dropped just the one game, sitting on 14 points. Mount Albert Lions and Howick Hornets, they are locked on 12 points apiece at the back end of that top 4, and nestled in just behind Northcote Tigers on 10 points, 4 points off the pace of the top 4 right now, the Otahuhu Leopards. And near the bottom there, a bit of a gap already starting to develop there. The Mangere East Hawks on 4, Richmond Bulldogs 2, Papakura 2, and the Marist Saints, the only team without a victory so far. So Troy, I guess a couple of things to take away from that ladder. Later on, we're going to see Richmond and Marist meet. That's going to be a pretty crucial game, particularly for Marist. They need to get some points on the board. We've seen them in action a couple of times this year. They're actually not playing bad footy, are they? But just, I guess, you know, when things aren't going your way, sometimes little bounces of the ball and that sort of thing. So huge game for Marist later on today.
Yeah, absolutely, mate. And to be fair, you know, Saints with a couple of games that we've seen them play, especially the big clash against Point Chevalier Pirates, there was 1 point in it. And they could have won that match with the kick if it had been successful right on the last minute. However, that didn't go their way that day. And as you said, you know, the rub of the green, the bounce of the ball. They've certainly got the personnel. They've certainly got size. And, you know, today's going to be a massive clash for them. And I think it's going to be a tough day in the office for the Bulldogs as well.
Equally, a really important game for the two teams we're going to see in action here, Northcote and Otahuhu. Look at that top 4 right now. And while they all play each other this week, so really it's an ideal chance to make up a little bit of ground on that top 4. It's highly likely that either Howick or Mount Albert will pick up a defeat in this one, or even if the top 2 pick up a defeat, it really helps them to keep pace. So huge 2 points on the offering today, and it's a beautiful day for footy down here at Murray Halberg Park. We should see some nice open rugby league. So a look at some of the other games going on around the grounds. So later on, as we mentioned, we will see Marist up against Richmond in the feature game. Well, over at Harold Moody Reserve, a huge game, Troy Glenora taking on Mount Albert. That's going to see second play third. It's a massive game in terms of those two teams really trying to, I guess, remain within touching distance of Point Chev as we approach the halfway point of the year. Glenora, well, they lost in round 1, but outside of that, they've been faultless this year. And Mount Albert as well. Boy, they look good when they click. Yeah,
absolutely. Both teams, you know, class act. I think Glenora will definitely have taken some learnings, you know, from that first match. And looking, to be fair, you know, the first round for all clubs is a wee bit of rust. And they'll, you know, certainly be grinding themselves into the season. So for all of our viewers out there, welcome in. Keep your eye on the Auckland Rugby League website, aucklandleague.co.nz. I believe we're going to be covering the Point Chevalier Glenora match coming up, if it's not in a couple of weeks. And that'll be a good indicator on how well the Bears are travelling.
Absolutely. Looking at other games going on around the grounds today, Papakura take on Mangere East. A bit of a rivalry game, this one. These two clubs have had players sort of go between each other, and there's always a good rivalry there, so a good Southside derby there when Papakura take on Mangere East. And then another mouth-watering one, Point Chevalier taking on Howick. It's 1 plays 4. Also got the Root Rooster on the line in that one. Troy, we've called Point Chev a few times this year. They tend to, I guess, really get up for these ones around teams near them on the ladder, I guess. But Howick equally, they knocked over Mount Albert earlier this year. They're a good team this year, Howick.
Yeah, and I think you know, everyone talks about Howick being the bogus team, especially for Mount Albert. You know, and they've always, you know, come to compete on the day. I think, in fairness too, for the Point Chevalier Pirates, you know, every time there's a club side that comes up against them, they lift their game, you know, for that match, and everybody wants to have a crack at the top teams, along with Glenora as well. I'm pretty sure everyone, you know, comes with their metal sharpened and hardened for that match.
Also, some second division action going on today as well. We'll take a little look at some of the games there, and if you are thinking about getting out to a game, ladies and gentlemen, there's no better day for it. Beautiful footy across Auckland, or beautiful weather, I should say, across Auckland today. A lovely day to get out to your local club and support some local rugby league. Big game, Bay Roskill taking on Papatoetoe Panthers. This is huge for the Panthers. It's top plays bottom. Bay Roskill have been near faultless this year, so that's going to be a huge test for the South Aucklanders. Ellerslie take on Pakuranga. Now this one's taken on another edge to it really in, I guess, this week, given that Pakuranga upset Ponsonby a couple of weeks ago, Troy. So that's going to be a big game at the Ellerslie Domain. Northern Brothers versus Franklin Storm, the battle of the newcomers. Franklin Storm sitting second on the ladder right now, coming along very nicely. Northern Brothers also sitting tied the top 8. Manurewa, they take on Hibiscus Coast at Mountford Park. Manukau up against New Lynn. The Otara Scorpions, they host the Mount Wellington Warriors. Waitemata take on Te Aratu, a West Auckland derby there, while the Ponsonby Ponies have the bye. So we have seen some really good footy played so far this year in the Crown Lift Trucks Sharman Cup. Really looking forward to a couple of big matches there, particularly the Franklin Storm. They've got a tough run over the next few weeks. That's going to be a real test of where they're at, Troy. We know that they currently sit undefeated, or they lost points for the round 1 draw against Manurewa for fielding an ineligible player, but that's going to be a true test for them.
Yeah, absolutely, and I think too is that they're going to find it tough, you know, being in the top 2. A lot of the clubs that are in, you know, the Crown Lift Trucks Sharman Cup, they've been there for a few seasons themselves, and, you know, the upstarts, the newcomers roll in and find themselves in second position. People are going to be chasing the Storm.
So some big things to happen in both competitions. Remembering also the Farrelly Photos Women's Premiership. The competitive rounds get underway tomorrow. That is round 1 of the Premiership. Also the pennant competition as well. We've got Manurewa, Otahuhu, Mount Albert, Te Aratu and Richmond in the top flight, loaded with Kiwi Ferns, all of those sides. So that's going to be awesome to see that happening. We've had grading rounds for the last month and a half, and a short 2-week break for the national tournament as well, where we saw the Auckland Vulcans in action last week. A 4th place finish for the Vulcans once again, repeating their performance from last year. So plenty going on around the grounds. Also all of the junior footy as well. We've had a few cancellations this year, but I dare say it will all be on today. Lovely footy indeed. As we see the teams going through their final warm-ups, there's our referees on screen today. Big shout out to the Auckland Rugby League Referees Association. And our referee in the middle today is Anthony Elliott, vastly experienced, has refereed at the higher levels in NRL competitions and reserve grade competitions. He's assisted by Corey Jewell and Brandon Tasker as his touch judges. If you are interested in learning more about the Auckland Rugby League referees, arlrefs.co.nz, or check out aucklandleague.co.nz. We've got some information available on there as well. So not long to kick off now. The teams get their final warning here. And Troy, we saw a number of these Otahuhu boys in action for rep teams last week, so not much of a break for them. And Northcote as well had a couple of boys in action. Taylor Daniels in action for Auckland. Eko Malu also led the Tongan team around the park at halfback.
Yeah, no, it was great football, and if you didn't manage to get down to Mount Smart, even the curtain raiser was a great clash.
Absolutely.
You know, the under-20s with Toa Samoa up against the Auckland Maori team, and of course, you know, Tongan New Zealand residents up against the Auckland team. And how grouse was it to see the Auckland team back? All of those games, Corey, are on our ARL TV YouTube channel, and I'm sure that the replays are getting thrashed on there at the moment, and there was some really good football there. So today's match, just wanted to talk about, and you mentioned it already, what an absolute cracker it is down here at Marist Grounds. The sun is shining, and if you've just joined us, ladies and gentlemen, looks like we're on a dust bowl, but rest assured that is a sand split field, hence why there's not a lot of greenery on there. So it's going to be a hard, fast track today. I think the both coaches have said that, you know, they're probably going to, you know, look to move to the edges and see some good ball playing front row props, you know, smashing into the line, and we love that. So looking forward to, you know, a really good, cool game of rugby league. And if you're not doing anything, please, by all means, come down here. The tuck shop's open, and we'll catch up with the chairman of the Marist Saints a wee bit later on this afternoon. And I'm sure that there'll be nice, cool refreshments available from the Marist Saints clubhouse.
Yeah, that's
and
right.
you know, everything is on. So if you've got a little bit of time on your hands and you want to watch some local football, this is it. It's all on here today at the SAS Fox Memorial.
We're now going to run you through the team lists and how they will take the field today. Starting with the Northcote Tigers, Thomas Barnett. We haven't seen much from him this year. He gets the fullback gig for this week. He's joined in the back three by James Waterson and Ted Donnelly. James Waterson, he's been in a rich vein of form of late. The centres are Cole Waka and Nalu Tuigamala. In the halves, Jordan Tiaho and Eko Malu. Up front, Eddie Fornota, Trent Shomkul and Josiah Afu is the hooker. In the back row, the captain, Taylor Daniels. We saw him in action for Auckland last week. Matt Tafutu there as well, and Xavier Rice is the lock. He's been a consistent performer for them this year. Looked really good in a number of games, has Rice. On the bench, Bywater, Timothy Cook, who's been battling a rib injury for most of this season. He gets a run today. Whitiora Davis and Thomas Connick. So that is how the Northcote Tigers will take the field today. And the Otahuhu Leopards at the back, Geronimo Doyle. The wingers are Setu Tu and Emiliano Mikaeli. The centres, Ethan Nukanuka and Rahiri Witihira. In the halves, Motu Muave and Paki. Up front, Richard Halani and Todor Purcell. The hooker is Tom Vafuswanga. And in the back row, Tana Koya, Sione Tongia and Benjamin Wharton Benedict locks the scrum. And on the bench, the veteran, the Tuihoi train, Freddie Turafenua gets another run. I think that's his second run for the year in the First Division. Jonah Soifeli, Kihua Rahiri and Damon Simanu rounds out the Otahuhu team. They are coached by John Ackland. So we can see there, referee Elliott going through the final talking to there. Todor Purcell, the captain for Otahuhu. And Taylor Daniels for Northcote. Saw Tane Paki playing for the Auckland Māori under-20 last week. Scored a brilliant try, individual try in that game. As well, Sione Tongia, who was one of Tonga's better players, I thought.
Looks like the boys swapping sides here, Corey.
Not much of a breeze around it all today, so no real issues with that. It's nice to have some favourable weather for a change. It's certainly been a rough run with weather in the last few weeks here in Auckland.
This is a fantastic day for Auckland Rugby League. I think we're going to see some really good open running footy. Northcote in the huddle. Final chat there from the captain, I dare say. And a big thank you to our live stream partners, Ctas, beaming out live around the world, welcoming all the Australian fans. I know we've got a strong following there. And of course, Pacifica TV with our distribution to all of the Pacific Islands. Welcome in. Hope you enjoy today's football. Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Crowd's not bad either, Corey. Can't see them on this side, obviously, where the live stream unit is.
So Geronimo Doyle to get us underway. And Northcote to receive first use of the ball. Mentioned in the pre-game, this is 5th versus 6th. Northcote currently sitting 2 points ahead of the Leopards on the ladder. So a massive game for John Ackland's side, who really have just been super impressive since coming up from the Crown Lift Trucks Sharman Cup. Crucially, have been winning those games against teams near them on the ladder. So there we go, an early spread on here for Northcote, keen to promote that second phase.
See Taylor Daniels slipping in on the right-hand edge, always dangerous out here. That's obviously part of the team strategy during the course of the season.
Tiaho now goes to the line.
Ooh.
Malu gets to his kick, puts it high. Chase isn't great from Northcote, and Doyle's going to clean it up nicely at the back. Fends away from a couple as well. Doyle makes a few metres there. Doyle been a real standout for this team. He's picked up certainly points in the 3-2-1 system most weeks, I think. He was named in the Auckland squad. I think ended up going away on a holiday to Rarotonga instead, which isn't a bad alternative, but he will have really benefited from his time spent in camp. Some really quality players there as well. So a player to watch is young Doyle. Now we see Torofenua, who looks like he's come into the starting lineup. Todor Purcell, a constant for this team. Spent some time over in Australia with the Canberra Raiders, did Total Purcell. And he goes from strengths to strengths. Now we see a little break down the left-hand edge now through Whitty, who is taken down low and then is tackled on the last. So positive start there for the Leopards, keen to spread the ball around. It all started with Doyle's, I guess, energetic kick return. And you find he's at the heart of most good things this team does.
Big shout out to Northcote Tigers major sponsor NRL, North City Reinforcement. Thank you for your support for the Tigers.
And similarly on the other side of the field, roof care for Otahuhu. Tora Whenua now comes in, finishes off on halfway.
Yeah, looking for a quick fast play the ball. The referee says no, go back to the mark.
Finota takes it forward into the heart. They get Cole Waka back today. Now, he was a real standout for Auckland last weekend. A classy centre. He's been playing up with the Vodafone Warriors reserves. And he's a huge in for Northcote. So out to this left edge they go, and again Malu looks high. The chase is good this time from Northcote. Pressure at the back on Doyle, who takes it. Was there a fumble there? Play on's the call. But he did well, Troy. He got low as soon as he caught it, because otherwise he was being driven back in a hurry. The Northcote chase was good. Now this is good work out of yardage now from Otahuhu. The chase is on now. They're going to spread the ball out, and just a little bit of lack of patience perhaps shown there, although you got to back him for a chance in his arm there, Mikaeli. He was into the clear, and I think if the ball gets to Whitty, he's away there.
No, they've got some speed on the edges, the Leopards. And yeah, he's ruining that one. He's just given himself a bit of a screen. But I dare say, you know, there's going to be a number of opportunities for that young lad today.
Yeah, they are lethal on the edges. Mikaeli, 22 years of age, a noted speedster. And Setu too, who we saw in action for Samoa under 20s last week. He is a real talent. Tall timber, you can kick to him. He's also very athletic. So they do have some real talent on the edges. The centres are good as well. Nuka Nuka and Whitty. Consistent players, certainly very good attacking players. Finota, who has had some struggles with injury this year, hasn't probably been able to take the field as much as he would have liked, but he's a really good front rower, this guy. Experienced. Malu now plays at the line, brings Thomas Barner in. Barner steps out of one. Barner now looking for a gap, eventually taken down. Total Purcell finishes off. And we've got an error in there. So good defence from the Leopards.
Just starting to build a wee bit of pressure there, they were, and Leopards let them off the hook. Get ready to set the scrum.
Thomas Barner, first time seeing him in action this year. Not sure if he has taken the field in other games, but certainly not in our live stream games. He's the younger brother of David Barner, who has played NRL for both the Warriors and Newcastle Knights. He's also the trainer here today, so they maintain a strong connection to the club. Do the Barner family.
Otahuhu will be looking for a really nice set here off the back of a sharp kick.
Total Purcell comes in for another carry. Big Xavier Rice, one of the most reliable defenders on the park, and Total Purcell has taken a bit of pain in that one. So we wait to see what the result is there.
He'll try and walk that off.
They get to the kick. Otahuhu is through Lafusuanga. Picked up by Donnelly at the back. Donnelly, one of a number of players that's come across from rugby union this year to play for the Tigers.
Yeah, no. Big Purcell doesn't look too good in there in the back. A couple of the older heads in Northcote will see him. They're going to look to take him off. He's going to be his first substitute for the day.
Daniels now hits the line back inside. Wharton Benedict gets underneath though and drives him to the ground.
Great run out of the dummy half. What, he split them open.
Looming in support now. Tiaho
but good tackle down low by Mikaeli. Now, where is the gap? Northcote get to the quick play of the ball. They centralise now through Rice. They're going to head out to this left edge. Malu's going to straighten. Malu dinks the little kick in behind. Well cleaned up the back. Setu 2's got it.
Get out?
2 now trying to escape. Goes across field now. Setu 2. Don't worry about just escaping. Setu 2 and Isle going down the other end. And they get out of it in the end. Just taking a look now. Troy Toto or Purcell. Looks like he may have
gone,
made
mate.
his way to the sideline.
They've made the substitute.
So there's an early blow for Otahuhu. They lose their captain and starting front rower. And Richie Halani comes onto the field. We're in the 18 today. So Feli plays at the line now. They're dangerous down this left edge. They pop the ball back inside.
It is back to 1-2.
So Feli.
Hold! Stand up again! Hold! Hold! Go! It's 1.
Nice little drop on the inside there.
Brings him back on the inside. Little bit of footwork. Reaches out. We're going to need to wait here for confirmation from our referee. But it's a try. Let's take a look on at the SAS Sporting replay. He had a little bit of work to do here. And Paki, he brings Koya back in on the inside. And he just breaks through that first initial tackle. Gets through
They held a lot
Rice.
off him, didn't they?
And then the step here. Enough just to get that upper body free and then reaches out. That's a classy finish in the end. Gets to the line. So Tana Koya opens the scoring. There was a Northcote player who took a hit and trying to stop Koya there as well. Down and back play, you can see him right next to Geronimo Doyle as the kick has been lined up. And it's Trent Schonkel. Looks like he may have copped an eye injury.
He's played some big minutes this year too, Trent Schonkel.
He has. He's really come on in the last couple of seasons. Played for the Warriors reserves in round 1 of that competition earlier this year. But he's been taken from the field. So early injury blows for both teams now. They've both lost their number 10s. Connor Todor Purcell for Otahuhu, and now Trent Schonkel making his way to the sideline. Doyle steps in. Flags are up, and it is the Roof Care Otahuhu Leopards who lead 6-0 over the North City Reinforcement Northcote Tigers.
And a big welcome to a couple of our special guests here today. Selwyn Pearson is down the sideline. Looks like he's having a bit of a chin wag over there to Johnny Ackland. And also the Deputy Chairman for the Auckland Rugby League is here, gracing us with his appearance. And he helped us out a little bit earlier, and that's Shane Price. So good to have them on board as we get ready for the kickoff after the Leopards go in for their first try today down here at Marist Ground.
No early boys.
The weather in the field almost looks like a hot Sydney game.
Yeah, and
Game in Aussie.
it always looks very dry here at Murray Halberg Park, but that is, I guess, the sand underneath the surface there. But you can't probably tell on the screen, but it is actually a lot greener than it probably appears.
Big run.
Tora Whenua there, firing up. He's lost the headgear.
Couple of supporters there for Big Freddie.
And what a wonderful servant, not only to the Otahuhu club, but the Auckland game, Freddie Tora Whenua. Great to see him still running out at First Division level. Fast approaching his 200th game at this level as well. Doyle dinks a little kick in over the top. Bunner's there on the full.
Great catch.
Does well to take it, but Doyle, fantastic kick chase. He's the first to meet him.
Trying to get a roll on over Tigers though.
Nalu Toigamala coming in for some work there.
Look who's drifting out here on this right edge again.
Cole Waka. They get the penalty at the end of it as well, so Feli just flopping in late there. Enough for referee Elliott to blow the penalty. It may have actually been Tula Whenua who was pinged there. Not too sure why he's lost the trademark headgear, Big Freddie.
Get that beautiful head out in the sunshine today.
Perhaps he's trying to get a tan. So Northcote kick for touch. 11 minutes gone here. It's Otahuhu who have struck first. Tuigamala now gets us back on the way. Daniels straight forward into Soifeli. Two former Point Chevrolet Pirates coming together there. Finota now straightens, still driving the legs. Finota.
Leopard scrambling on the line there, mate.
Do well to get him to ground there. Holani. Rice goes backdoor now to Malu. They hit the line hard through Tafutu.
He must be close. Held up.
Held up's going to be the call.
Don't forget, ladies and gentlemen, College Rugby League at 4 p.m. every Wednesday, and we're live streaming all of the young guns coming through.
Joe Bywater onto the field. Looking to get to the quick play of the ball. Afu misses out Rice, goes backdoor instead to Tiaho. Tiaho now brings Barner in. Barner, they've got a numbers advantage here, but he's pushed the ground, gets the ball at the back. James Watterson! Oh! We wait for confirmation. That is a spectacular finish. Let's take a look.
The SAS replay for the Auckland Fox Memorial. This one's going to get thrashed, I dare say.
And we touched on Waterson's try-scoring ability in the pre-game. You can see here it starts with Barner, who does really well to get the ball away here. He's stumbling, stumbling.
He's really pushed the ground and not held, so, you know, play on there and watch this finish.
Yeah, brilliant. Leaves the ground. He knows at that point that the cover defence is coming in low. Finishes it, and, well, he looks like he's barely even raised a sweat there. Wonderful work from James Waterson and Northcote on the board.
A lot of good chat coming from the North City Reinforcement Tigers as they walk back, ready for the reset of play.
Nalu Tuigamala to attempt the conversion.
Big shout out from the hill. There's a few of them now as the sun starts cutting in amongst the trees down here at Marist Saints home ground. Big strong kick out here on this side. How cool would it be to live out there in that White House, Corey? You wouldn't even have to leave home. Just
That's
watch
right.
out the front
They're
door.
not even on the roof. Tuigamala hits it beautifully. Lovely kick from Nalu Tuigamala. And we are locked up. So a good response there from the Northcote Tigers. Classy finish from Waterson.
One of the water boys there blowing a bit hard. Might have a little bit of asthma. One of the trainers taking care of him. Otahuhu get ready to reset. Six all.
Oh, Freddie Tula Whenua leading with the shoulder there.
Showed strength though, didn't go down.
Finishing off as well. Daniels now breaks the initial one. Finished off by Witi Hera.
Oh.
And ball put down there by Finota. Play on is the call. Picked up by Wharton Benedict, who's ragdolled to the ground.
Let him go. Here we are.
So Otahuhu, they get it back. Off the back of the defence now. Koya plays at the line. Setu 2. Loose, taking the ground, gets up, goes again, eventually taken down.
Hold, go. It's one.
Paki. Vafusawang, a little run-around play here now. Halani and Soifele battling to get one off. Eventually taking the ground. Doyle, they're going to go short side now, the Leopards. Mutu Moave. Taking down Mikaeli. A settler to the middle. What have they got on last tackle?
Show and
Bucky.
go. Nailed.
Taking the ground. Last one now.
No markers.
Doyle's going to jump out of dummy half now. Plays short at the line to Halani. Halani driving the legs. Going to go very close here, Richie Halani.
Short here, boys. Come here.
Held up is the call. That's the last tackle, and Northcote survive.
They did well to hold him out there with the help of the SAS bolster.
Wait, boys. You're going to take back the defensive line. One more step, fellas. One more step, boys. Have a look through.
You mentioned the SAS College Rugby League comp earlier, Troy. A number of the boys taking the field today have come through that competition.
Hold. Release that.
We saw Xavier Rice playing for St. Paul's College. He was a real standout over the years for them.
Just blowing them up inside the 10 there. Yeah, no, don't miss the College Rugby League. We love that. 4 o'clock every Wednesday. You can get those links through the aucklandleague.co.nz, and we're live streaming now. And there's a couple of big clashes coming up. Otahuhu, Westlake, I think, this Wednesday.
Yeah, we had a good one between Kelson and Southern Cross last week. Locked up at 4-4 at halftime, and Kelson, they blew them away in the second half, Troy. A couple of really talented boys in that team to watch out for. Conrad Tua in the halves.
Absolutely, yeah, he had a big day.
Hold. Release them.
Connie, your mate.
Hold. Go. One.
That was
After
Corey
this, they
nodding
come
and
now.
smiling.
Bywater.
Hold. Hands off. All the way, fellas. All the way. Up now. Hold. 18, you're not there.
Rice shifts play out to the left. Marlow breaks down a little bit. Walker picks it up, and there's going to be a knock-on in there. So it was building kind of nicely there for Northcote, but it breaks down out on the left edge.
Yeah, they sort of jam it in there a couple of times, and you just see that danger. Taylor Daniels out here on this right-hand side, you know, in amongst the centres. And you just know at some point they're going to pull the trigger, and it's coming.
2 more steps.
We saw Auckland last week head heavily to the left edge where Cole Walker stands. He got a number of carries as a result and scored a try, set a couple up from memory. Jordan Tuare, who was just in irresistible form in that game, I think he was fantastic, scored the first 2 tries of the game and then set up a number in the second half. Probably played a hand in every try that Auckland
Big
scored,
hit.
as we see.
Just
Deep
dropped it.
contact
Sorry,
there.
mate.
Cleaned up by Northcote, and now the counter-attack is on. Daniel shifts play on. Tuigamala takes the tackle.
Release them, set.
So the Leopards have hurt themselves there. They've done well to defend the last set, but now the pressure back on. Daniels will straighten. Still driving the legs is Daniels. They're 5 out from the line.
Hold. Hold. 18 and 11 off.
Afu to Rice. Malu. Bywater. Hands play on. They've got the numbers here. Tough foot too. Should he have passed it there? It looked like they had the overlap. Instead taking the ground. They spin it out to Malu, who will settle through Finota.
Hold. Up you get 10.
4th tackle.
Hold. Hold. Go. 4.
Half to half. Tiaho now. Jordan Tiaho. Steps 1, steps 2. Richie Halani comes through. But he's got there, Tiaho. Northcote are on the board again. It comes off the Otahuhu era. Back-to-back sets, really, for the Tigers. Let's take a look now on the replay. And really, it's just brilliance from Tiaho. Gets the ball.
That was good.
Sees that they've got a bit of a staggered line. It's good cover defence coming across from Halani. And I thought he'd actually stop the try here, Troy. We see Doyle down low, but definitely grounding there. Fantastic call from the referee on the spot. And the Tigers are in front.
As we wait for the kick to come, Corey, I understand the live link click-through on the website's working well for us. And if you are wanting to get all of the live links sent to you on your mobile phone with 5 minutes to go, log online to the aucklandleague.co.nz. You'll see the click for the link activation button there. You can click into that, give us your mobile number, and we'll be able to pump out the live action links to you every weekend.
Yep, all part of the new digital service this year with the Auckland Rugby League. As Tuigamala lines up this kick now. See on the back of the jersey there, play on physiotherapy. Shout out to David Close and the team there as Tuigamala pushes it to the left. He hooked it badly, didn't he? So the score remains North City Reinforcement Northcote Tigers 10, Roof Care Otahuhu Leopards 6. 21 minutes gone here at Murray Halberg Park.
Been a fast 21 minutes too, just quietly. The ball's gone up and down the field a number of times. Both teams are throwing it around. Fantastic rugby league. Otahuhu stroll back now, getting ready for the kickoff. Big hello to the Northcote Tiger ball boys. And the Otahuhu boys as well. Don't want to forget about them. Trainer's looking fit. That's the trainer walking by, ladies and gentlemen. Here we go. Northcote charging on the outside there, 30.
Up you get. That's one. Release them.
Otahuhu looking for line speed off their defence.
Futu taken well by Koya. Barner now joins in the line, boy. Looks good on his feet, does Barner. He was right on the cusp of making it to national youth competition level, was Thomas Barner. He was a real standout on the Fox at the time. He had a couple of trials, but just didn't quite get through. Good to see him back in the Northcote colours now as the ball comes out from Afu.
Just wasn't high enough, eh? The little dink over the top.
Setutu.
Ooh, that was a big hit.
And late was Waka, and I don't think there was any malice in that one. He's probably caught him a little late on the ground, and Waka the first to show concern.
Not happy about it.
I think
Some of the Otahuhu police force have arrived.
the Leopards boys not buying the apology.
I think he clipped them on the way down too, so that probably, as you said, I don't think there was any malice in it, but
No.
he certainly did collect them.
So time off as we deal with the injured player. Troy, you mentioned earlier a pretty fast start to this game. Not a lot of stoppages. I guess the weather playing a role in that as well, but good, accurate rugby league from both teams. It's nice to see sides who are, I guess, keen to spread the ball as much as these two are.
Yeah, well, both sides are really well coached. You know, Jeff Morton knows how to get the best out of his crew in the Northcote Tigers, and John Ackland, well, you know, that name speaks for itself. Been involved in rugby league for many, many years, the whole family, and nice to see him out there imparting some of his knowledge with the Otahuhu Leopards.
So Leopards kick for touch after the penalty. Get straight back to it via Holani.
The swingers right out here on this edge. Did well on the D.
Tongia takes the tackle instead. Geronimo Doyle playing a lot of first receiver at this stage.
Purcell's back on, knees strapped.
So Connor Toto Purcell, an early injury, but as Troy's mentioned, back on now with the left knee heavily strapped. Doyle now, they shuffle play on Tongia. They're dangerous on this edge. Otahuhu, it's their favoured edge. Get to the play of the ball now. Doyle, low driven kick. Was he onside? He got there pretty quick. They dribble back to the middle now. Barner's there to clean up, but they've got him in goal. So a good set there from the Otahuhu Leopards. And back-to-back sets coming up.
They did well off that.
I mentioned the, I guess, width they're playing with out here on this left edge. Troy, the winger, really hugging that sideline. Sione Tongia, he's taken a couple of hit-ups out here now. I wonder how long until we see the little offload or the spread play here, because it does look like they may have a numbers advantage at some point down that corridor.
Yeah, especially with the big boys, you know, pulling it into the centre of the field. You know, if they draw a number of defenders there, then they earn the right to go wide, and these swingers aren't slow. And we're about to see a jetpack fire up now, I'd say. Here we go.
Mikaeli fields it and runs it straight back.
That ground's not soft either, by the way, ladies and gentlemen.
Doyle to Toto Purcell, who runs low and hard, but he's met well. Tongia. Rahiri. Doyle now shuffles play on. Here we go. Here's that left side shift we were waiting for, although that time the execution well off. Waterson knocks it down, but it may have been forward anyway. We wait for confirmation from referee Elliott. Time off as Toto Purcell comes in for a chat. And it's Rice, who looks like he's bleeding fairly heavily.
Is he good?
Clean them up.
We're halfway between Corey. Start there.
So it's going to be a Leopards ball.
Here, boys. Come back.
Rahiri to feed by the looks of things.
3. Second. Wait until he says out, boys. 3.
Come off the back of the scrum through Tongia. With the header essentialised through Toto Purcell, who leaves one on the ground. Sends them flying first. Out the back they go now. Doyle chimes in. Doyle's met by 3. They're up inside the 10. Another set of 6 coming up for the Leopards. Whole lot of stress on this Northcote line right now. Been asked to do a lot of tackling in the last 3 or 4 minutes. Doyle's going to slow things down now, just weighing up his options. It's going to start with Wharton Benedict. A little short play. They bring Holani in, who's going to go very close. Right up against the line. Battling for the quick play of the ball. Pucky to Doyle. Doyle looking to dance through. They're not falling for it, Northcote. There's another penalty, though. We're going to have time off here. We're going to have a very stern talking to, I would think.
I was just about to say, you know, Tigers are showing some real grit on the try line down there, defending very, very well, and now having a wee bit of a chat in regards to
14.
Yeah, they're showing some grit, but they're also showing a tendency to perhaps give away a penalty or two, so they'll be lucky to keep everyone on the field here. Certainly, I would think another penalty like that, and we could well be seeing someone marched for 10. Tongia gets us back underway. That's a hard carry. Xavier Rice involved in the tackle. Doyle shuffles play on. They've got numbers out here on the left edge, right? Witty header steps back inside. Still fighting in the tackle. Northcote get in there in numbers. They go short to Toto Purcell, who's over the line, but held up. Held up's going to be the call. Throwing everything at them, but this Northcote defence just keeps showing up. Rice looks like he's operating on one leg. We saw some blood coming from the head earlier as well. Holani, right next to the SAS upright. Tongia, he's going to be hard to stop from here. A little bit of footwork at the line, burrowing low. But the defence, once again, gets there. Last tackle coming up. Very slow play of the ball here for Tongia. At the back they go. Doyle, Doyle looking to dance his way through. Tackled down low. There's a penalty here, and surely it's sin bin time. That's 4 penalties in this phase, and it is indeed. It looks like...
Not sure which number he's chosen.
It's Taylor Daniels, the skipper, who is going to go for a walk. But it had to happen, Troy. 4 penalties in the space of as many minutes.
Taylor just trying to slow it down, trying to give his team a wee bit of air to breathe. And, well, now they're going to need air because they've got 12 people on the field and they're right on hard up against their try line.
So massive test coming up here for the Tigers. Tongia carries it forward. Play breaks down, but it's scooped up by Rahiri. Motu Moave, dummies, he's going to go over. But held up again. This defence is incredible from the Tigers. holding down too long that time. They'll give up the penalty there because he got to quick play the ball.
Oh, I love the humour at rugby league, eh? Another supporter rolled out. Yeah, give him another 10 minutes too.
When you're ready.
So tap and go. Pucky runs behind his own man. That'll be a disaster at the end of all this. Give up an obstruction penalty on play one.
Release him.
Lucky to get away with that one. Motu Moave jumps out of dummy half now. He's very close. This goal line defence is something special. How much longer can they hold though? Just as I say that, there it is. Finally the breakthrough. And under a mass of bodies, Otahuhu have scored. Let's take a look at the replay.
Constant pressure, wasn't it, Corey? Just in that same area. They weren't going anywhere else except between the sticks.
Motu Moave goes very close. And then off the back of it, it's Koya who's gone over for his second try of the game, this time right under the sticks. There's a whole lot of bodies around. It was quite hard to see who had scored that one. So tied ball game. Kick to come from in front of the posts. They've got 9 more minutes without Taylor Daniels, Northcote. Sent to the sin bin for repeated infringements.
And I think, ladies and gentlemen, you know, with our commentary today, none of us are actually going to say, well, that's an easy kick. He's going to nail that.
No, that time has well and truly passed. Troy, we've been burnt a few times this year, including myself in the College Rugby League midweek.
No, he's going to nail this, mate.
I'm sure Geronimo Doyle will
Little
appreciate
step up,
the...
bang.
So he puts that one over, and it is the Leopards who are in front once again. They spent an age down there, didn't they? There's probably 6 or 7 sets in a row. And as you said, Troy, they just kept going to the same area. The power game up the middle of the park. Northcote did incredibly well to hold on for as long as they did. But in the end...
They just pummeled their way in there.
They did indeed. So 12 points to 10. So we approach the final 8 minutes of the first half here.
Yeah, I don't think we're going to see Taylor back before the first half is out. So it's going to have to be a big effort with the NRL-sponsored Tigers team as they kick off. 12 against 13. Here we go.
Big wind up there from the Leopards. Fresh legs on the park in the shape of Damon Simanu, who's spent a fair bit of time down in Christchurch playing for the Sydenham Swans and the Papanui Tigers. It's his first year at Otahuhu this year.
Papanui, there's a name I haven't heard in a few years. Big hello to all the fans down there who are joining us, watching the live stream today, brought to you by aucklandleague.co.nz, live stream partners Ctas.
Right on halfway now, last tackle coming up. I want to get to a good kick here. Doyle's going to look to the sky. Barner's going to let it bounce. It's taken a horrible bounce from a Northcote point of view, and now they're in trouble. They spread the ball wide. Mikaeli kicks back to the middle of the park. Chase coming across, but Northcote have cleaned it up. Donnelly now beats the first one. Donnelly breaks into a little bit of open space. Good work from the Tigers to recover it. It was off the cuff stuff. Waterson now. Waterson stretching them. Goes for a little run across field. Ball comes loose. Was it stripped? Picked up by the Leopards. It's going to be called back for a knock-on.
He showed a bit of pace, didn't he?
Did indeed. Some impressive athletes on the field today. It's going to be an Otahuhu feed at the end of all that. So you're going to say knock-on each way, I think, from referee Elliott. How good to have Anthony Elliott refereeing in the Fox this year. Vastly experienced.
Okay, boys, come on.
One of the best referees, not just in Auckland, but in New Zealand.
Back it down, seconds in. Last minute.
Leopards certainly had the big share of the ball in the last 8 to 10 minutes.
Right.
Ball comes out a little bit scrappy there from the Leopards, who have their eyes on further points now. Doyle dances his way across, eventually taking the ground. 30 out from the line, Mikaeli with a settling carry.
40. Get with me, 40.
Total Purcell straightens, runs straight over the top of Rice. Boy, that was a huge carry from Total Purcell. Bucky. Rahiri now dancing through. Is that obstruction? High tackle is going to be the call. So Northcote doing everything they can to hold on here.
Refs had a bit of back chat, I think. You may be picking some of that up in the audio, ladies and gentlemen, if you're down here today watching the live stream with us.
And it's gone the other way. So initially I thought Elliott had pointed for a high tackle, but obviously not the case. It's going to be a Northcote ball. Just looking at Total Purcell, he's still really battling. Certainly not running at 100%.
Maybe he hurt himself when he ran over the Tiger just a few moments ago.
Northcote looking to up the tempo now.
Absolutely.
Bywater, big carry forward, hello. Straight over. Motu Nuave is going to be a penalty at the end of that one as well.
You get away with it.
So a great chance here for the Tigers, not just to hold on with only 12 men, but potentially take the lead again. Into the final 4 minutes of the first half. Malu's going to tap and go. Hands it off to Whitiora Davis.
Make it back to me, boys.
Tiaho.
Oh, great dummy.
Back inside.
Up again.
Afu will straighten. Tackled down low.
Bobbled
by
it. It's come out the back.
Manu. Ball is loose now. Malu's onto it. Just short of the line now. The Tigers, they've marched right downfield. They've gone 100 metres. Connick. Tackled short. Malu is the dummy half. They go short once again. Last tackle coming up. Malu again is the dummy half.
Set off the... No.
Knock on from Otahuhu.
Looks like it's going to be a Leopards ball at the end of all that, but probably a little bit of poor organisation there from Northcote. Troy twice in that set. The halfback ends up being the dummy half. Really, you want Eko Malu standing off for your last tackle play there. Instead, he's at dummy half, ends up kicking from the bottom of the ruck. So probably not the ideal set there, although given the fact that they are down to 12 men on the field,
Yeah,
Coach
probably
Jeff
a bit of a
Gordon won't
shuffle up.
mind that at all. Taylor Daniels now making his way back on, so they're back to full complement.
Yeah, just inside the time. Well done. I heard you mention the Tigers on the march down there, Corey. There's only one team that marches at Murray Helberg, and I believe that would be the Saints.
Yeah, I was waiting for that line. I thought we might get to the second game before we heard it, but anyway. Northcote feed. Bana to Tuigamala, who is a powerful runner. Tuigamala! Oh, straight over. Nalu Tuigamala gets the ball, pin the ears back.
Great try.
It's a clever set play off the scrum. You can see here,
Bit of a conversation going in there as who's going where.
Daniels straight back onto the field and into the scrum. And then from here, they shuffle play on. They get it there quickly, Troy. And then
Great
Tuigamala,
step.
just a
held
little
him up.
step, just enough to hold them up, as you say. And then from there, too powerful, crashes over. Wonderful work from the Northcote Tigers.
Great try. And they've done well, considering they've been under the pump for, you know, a good part of 10, 15 minutes down the other end of the field to come back and put one on the board.
Yep, and they did most of the work for that try prior to Daniels returning to the field. So a really positive reply from the Northcote Tigers. Good response to the captain spending some time in the bin. Tuigamala, he's been a real standout for them this year. Has Nalu, he's come across from Ponsonby Rugby a while back. Heavily involved with North Harbour Rugby over the years as well. 29 years of age, so he does bring a wealth of experience to this fairly young backline.
Yeah, looking like he's enjoying it too. What a fabulous day for rugby league. The sun is beaming down here, folks. If you haven't got much on today, come and join us. Big match still yet to come. Be an even match too. Richmond up against Marist Saints. So we wait for the kick to come here with the Northcote Toga right out on the sideline.
Tugamala hits it, and he struck it beautifully again.
Yeah.
Second sideline conversion of the game for Nalu, who's having a fine old game, and that's going to get us to half-time. The North City Reinforcement Tigers lead 16 points to 12 over the Roof Care Otahuhu Leopards. We're now going to take a short break. Be back for the second half.
Don't go away, ladies and gentlemen. We've got a little bit of a treat for you. The highlights from the Auckland game against New Zealand Tonga residents, and also some of the pre-match action of Toa Samoa up against the Auckland Maori. So, as I said, 10-minute half-time break. Don't go away. Be back with you very, very soon.
Live league action. In 2018, the Auckland Rugby League is putting the game in your hands. Never miss a hit from New Zealand's premier rugby league competition. To get the inside edge on where you can watch the action live and free, hit up aucklandleague.co.nz. Live league action. aucklandleague.co.nz.
Back door now. Toa Samoa keen to go to the edges. Troy, they've been pretty insistent on using their big fellas so far. We haven't seen too much in the way of a sideways movement. And here's a big carry forward by Lenny Nemia. And I think he's got the opener. Legs driving from
he did well too.
Kamana.
Fresh legs.
Might be space on the left edge here if that's where they go. Butler to Paki. Paki thinks there is as well. Steps back inside instead. Tane Paki. Tane Paki's in under the post. Individual brilliance from Tane Paki. Memorial Centre. Swinging up the back now. Rangi is going to look to the skies. Tester at the back. Brown left to bounce. Now the chase is on. Now there's bodies coming from everywhere. It's been scooped up by the Auckland Māori. And it is Eloa Ma'afu Roberts who... Smith goes to the line now. Casey Smith broken through. Casey Smith now is into open space. He's got Tomavavi Gerard to beat. Looming on his outside is the big second rower. And they're going to go in here. The Auckland Māori under 20. What a try. It is back. Tavita goes to the line. Dylan Tavita, he's not going to need anyone. Dylan Tavita's going to step his way through. Butler. Smith, Casey Smith goes to the line. Casey Smith through. Casey Smith. Will coach Ming Mafoy. Change tack now as Nemia drives towards the line. Auckland Māori have been fantastic on their line for the majority of this game. Falilua Malio jumps out of dummy half. Not that time. Johnny Falilua Malio just catches him napping. Gets the offload away as well now. Malutoa! He's got there. Smith steps in. Good off the boot. We are tied up, ladies and gentlemen. 24 all. Side. Paki goes to the line. Out the back to Rangi. They're going to spread it. They want the win here, do the Auckland Māori. 10 seconds to go. 50 metres to travel. Is there a drop goal in the offering? Paki goes out the back door. They need to take the tackle quickly. The clock's expired. That might do it. And it's going to finish the end of a thrilling curtain raiser to the 2018 Upright Access Man Cup. And they can't be split after 80 minutes. It is the Auckland Māori Under-20s 24th. Toa Samoa Invitational 24. What a game. Now goes to the line, half to half. Now they get back door now. Mikaeli, they've isolated them out wide here. Here comes the first try. Tonga are in, and it is Sione Tongia who is going to open the scoring time. V now clears the ruck. Daniel Palavi is going to go over. We wait for confirmation from referee McMillan. He's going to point to the spot, and Tonga are about to double their lead. Tore. Got Siaki looming in support. Wow. And hang on, what's happened there? I think Jordan Tore has got on the board for Auckland, and it is Jordan Tore. Friend to Seal. Seal goes back door to Tore. Tore holding up Tore. Jordan Tore rolls over. He's got the double, and Jordan Tore has powered his way over. Beautiful play there from the Glenora Bears stand-up. Taylor Daniels steps off the right, gets a pop out the back, beautiful offload. They're going to score in the corner. Auckland, are they? Yes, they are. Towards the middle. Tore. They come down the left edge again. They love it down this side. Siaki gets the offload away. Cole Waka's in. Slams the ball down. Grounding okay. Referee McMillan points to the spot. Auckland are in. Tuitama to Waka. Waka holds it up just a little bit. Corey Sita in the corner with the athletic finish. 5 off the line. Howie Brown now shuffles play on. Here we go. Auckland, they're in again. Lafu Fianganga is in for his second try of the game. Come up to his right edge in the second half. We haven't seen so much of him with Auckland's
hard run.
Love of the left.
With print offload.
He's still going. Abraham Papali'i. Oh, don't worry about the offload. Abraham Papali'i. He runs it in. But the candidate yourself.
Jordan, I like what Jethro's done today. He's, he's changed the pace in the second half. They knew that he'd come out and execute the plan, having a great
just
try.
To say that, Simon Loa-Falialo is going to score in the corner. Auckland are back, and Auckland are winners. Auckland 40, Tonga, New Zealand residents 12. Welcome back to Murray Halberg Park. We are at half-time in the curtain raiser between the Otahuhu Leopards and Northcote Tigers. Good game so far. We just saw some highlights of the representative round 2 awesome games, the Auckland Māori under-20s and Toa Samoa Invitational under-20s, who couldn't be split at the end of 80 minutes. Troy, an entertaining game, but one thing I took away from that, scary how many of those boys at the age of 18 are playing Fox footy already, and the size of some of them, incredible.
Yeah, no, it was fantastic football, and as you said, we get to see some of those boys running around now in Fox footy, and it'll put them in good stead, over the next couple of years as they start to mature and get a wee bit older. And I think we're probably seeing a wee bit of that today with the curtain raiser here. The Northcote guys were a fairly young team over the last 3 to 4 or 5 years, and they're starting to mature now, and you're starting to see them reap benefits from that. And Otahuhu are probably just starting on that curve.
Yeah.
They've got a wealth of experience, but a number of the young guys there, John Eckler managed to keep together last year in the Crown Lift Truck Shaman Cup, and they're certainly paying dividends this year. I think he mentioned early into the season, they took some great learnings out of the Mount Albert clash that they had, and you saw them unleash the week before last against Papakura Sea Eagles. Everything clicked for them. I just sort of